Take a look at the grocery store shelves today. They look full, right? That's a fragile illusion. We all saw what happened in 2020. History shows that when a real crisis hits, a natural disaster, a supply chain collapse, or widespread unrest, that illusion shatters in a matter of hours. The essentials we take for granted can just vanish. But what if you knew exactly what would be gone first? What if you could get ahead of the chaos? Today, we're not talking about fear. We're talking about predictable human behavior. We're revealing the 15 grocery items that are the first to disappear when panic strikes, so you can have them for your family before it's too late. Section 1. The countdown begins. Number 15. Coffee and tea. Let's kick things off with something you might not expect. Coffee and tea. In a crisis, people don't just need calories. They need a sense of normalcy. That morning cup of coffee or that calming evening tea is a powerful psychological ritual. When stress is through the roof and routines are shattered, people will cling to these small comforts for dear life. That's why you see these items fly off the shelves. It's a little luxury that feels like an absolute necessity for millions of people just to function, especially when sleep is hard to come by. For your own preps, coffee and tea are fantastic morale boosters. A warm drink can work wonders on a cold morning, especially if the power's out. They're also lightweight, easy to store, and can even be valuable for barter. Storing them is easy. For the longest shelf life, keep unopened, vacuum-sealed bags of coffee in a cool, dark place. Instant coffee is even better for long-term storage. Tea bags, kept in their box inside a sealed container, can last for years. Never underestimate the power of morale. It can be just as critical as anything else in your pantry. Number 14. Spices, salt, and seasonings. Imagine you've successfully stored 50 pounds of rice and 50 pounds of beans. That's great for survival, but after 3 days of eating plain, bland food, you'll understand exactly why spices and salt make this list. Bland food isn't just boring. It can be incredibly demoralizing over time. Panic buyers might not grab salt on their first pass, but as a crisis drags on, they realize that turning basic ingredients into meals they actually want to eat is nearly impossible without it. Salt is also a critical nutrient and was historically used to preserve meat, making it a multi-purpose powerhouse. For your stockpile, this is one of the easiest and cheapest categories to check off. A huge container of salt is inexpensive and will last practically forever. Stock up on other basics like black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and bouillon cubes. These can transform simple staples like rice and beans into dozens of different meals. Just keep them in airtight containers in a cool, dark cabinet to maintain their kick. This tiny investment will pay off in a huge way when it comes to food satisfaction. Number 13. Sugar and sweeteners. Just like salt, sugar is something we take for granted until it's suddenly gone. People grab it for baking, for their coffee, and for the simple comfort that sweet things provide in stressful times. Think about it. When people turn to baking as a comforting activity, what are the first two things they need? Sugar and flour. Honey and maple syrup also vanish for the same reasons. They provide calories, comfort, and are key ingredients in countless recipes. Strategically, sugar is a source of quick energy, and like coffee, a major morale booster. It also has an indefinite shelf life if you store it right. Simple white granulated sugar is your best bet. Keep it in its original bag, but place that bag inside a sealed, airtight food-grade bucket to protect it from moisture and pests. If you can keep it dry and sealed, it will literally outlast you. Raw honey is another forever food. Stored properly, it never spoils and even has medicinal uses. Having these on hand is a simple step that most people forget until it's far too late. Number 12. Cooking oils and fats. You can have all the flour and pasta in the world, but without cooking oil or fat, your meal options shrink dramatically. This is a realization that dawns on panic buyers pretty fast, and the cooking oil aisle is one of the next to be stripped bare. Fats are essential for cooking almost everything, from frying an egg to making bread. They're also a dense source of calories, which is critical in a survival scenario where you might be burning more energy with less food. For your long-term pantry, go for oils with a long shelf life. Crisco or other vegetable shortenings, when unopened, can last for years. Coconut oil is another excellent, stable choice. Regular vegetable and olive oils have a shorter shelf life, maybe a year or two, so you'll need to rotate them. The best strategy is to have a mix. Store them all in a cool, dark place, away from heat and light. A big tub of shortening is a cheap, calorie-dense and versatile cornerstone for any emergency kitchen. Number 11. Fresh produce with a long shelf life. When a crisis hits, the first things to get swiped from the produce section are the items that can last for weeks or even months without refrigeration. We're talking potatoes, onions, garlic, apples, and oranges. People instinctively know these are nutritious and can sit on a counter or in a cellar for a while. A 10-pound bag of potatoes offers a massive amount of calories and can be cooked in a dozen different ways. Onions and garlic are the flavor base for almost any savory dish. People grab these first because it feels like they're buying a little extra time and fresh food security. From a prepper's perspective, this is just common sense. You should always have a rolling inventory of these items anyway. Potatoes, stored in a cool, dark, and airy place, can last for months. Onions and garlic, kept in a similar environment, also have a great shelf life. These items bridge the gap between fresh food and your long-term storage, providing vitamins and a sense of normalcy you just can't get from a can. Number 10. Eggs. Eggs are a powerhouse of nutrition. They're a complete protein packed with vitamins and are incredibly versatile. You can have them for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So it's no surprise that during a food scare, the egg cartons disappear almost instantly. We saw this happen repeatedly during recent supply chain hiccups. The public is now conditioned to know that the egg supply is fragile, so they grab them at the first hint of trouble. For a prepper, fresh eggs are a short-term solution, but a vital one. The real secret, however, is powdered eggs. Modern freeze-dried and powdered eggs are a total game-changer. You can use them for scrambling, baking, and in any recipe that calls for eggs. Stored in a sealed can or Mylar bag, they have a shelf life of 10 years or more. This gives you a secure, long-term source of high-quality protein that is completely immune to the panic and fragility of the fresh egg supply. It's a must-have. Number 9. Breakfast staples. Oats and cereal. In an emergency, you need meals that are fast, easy, and don't require much fuel or effort. This is exactly why breakfast cereals, oatmeal, and granola bars are always among the first foods to go. If you have a family, especially with kids, having a box of cereal and some shelf-stable milk is the simplest solution for a quick meal. Panic shoppers are thinking about how to feed their kids tomorrow morning, not long-term sustainability. Oats, in particular, are a favorite because they're cheap, filling, and can be made with just hot water. Strategically, these items are perfect for a short-term emergency. For a more robust long-term plan, though, focus on large canisters of rolled oats. They're cheaper, more compact, and have a much longer shelf life, up to 30 years if stored properly in a sealed container. Plus, oats are more than just breakfast. They can be ground into flour or used to add bulk to soups and breads. They're a versatile and cheap calorie source you'll be glad you have. All right, we're about halfway through our list, and we're getting into the real heavy hitters. If you're finding this useful and want more practical strategies to keep your family safe and prepared, take a second to hit that subscribe button. We're always releasing new videos on smart prepping and survival skills that won't break the bank. It's free, and it means you won't miss out on what's next. Now, let's get back to the countdown. Section 2. The core essentials. Number 8. Frozen foods. Most people's freezers are their own personal short-term food stockpile. When a crisis hits, their first instinct is to fill any empty space they have. The frozen food aisles get absolutely decimated. People grab frozen veggies, fruits, pizzas, and ready meals. Why? Because it's easy. Frozen vegetables are often just as nutritious as fresh, and they provide a quick way to get vitamins into a meal. A bag of frozen corn can be added to anything, and a frozen pizza is a complete, comforting meal that can be a lifesaver when you're stressed. The obvious downside, of course, is that your freezer is only a solution as long as you have power, a detail many panic buyers overlook. For a prepared person, frozen foods are your Phase 1 emergency plan. It's the food you eat first while the grid is still up, or for the first day or two of a power outage. To make the most of it, keep your freezer as full as possible, which helps it stay cold longer during an outage. But never make your freezer your primary plan. It's a temporary buffer, not a long-term solution. Number 7. Milk and dairy, shelf-stable. Milk is a staple in almost every household, especially those with kids. It goes in cereal, coffee, and countless recipes. That's why the fresh milk gallons are one of the very first things to be completely wiped out. Seeing that empty dairy case is one of the most iconic images of panic buying. People grab as many as they can carry, knowing it will all be gone in hours. The smart prepper knows this and plans for it by focusing on shelf-stable alternatives. Powdered milk is the gold standard here. It's lightweight, compact, and when stored in a cool, dark, sealed container, it can last for up to 20 years. You can use it for drinking, cooking, and baking, providing critical calcium and protein long after fresh milk is a distant memory. UHT milk boxes are another great option for shorter-term needs, lasting for months without refrigeration. A solid supply of shelf-stable milk is one of the most important steps you can take. Number 6. Bread and baking supplies. The bread aisle becomes a ghost town within the first few hours of a panic. Bread is a fundamental comfort food, and people grab multiple loaves without a second thought. But what happens when that bread is gone and the delivery trucks stop running? The panic then moves to the baking aisle. Flour, yeast, and baking mixes all disappear, as people have the sudden realization they might have to make their own. We saw a massive boom in home baking during the 2020 lockdowns for this exact reason. This is where a prepper can truly shine. Instead of relying on a few perishable loaves, you stock the components. A 25-pound bag of flour is far more valuable than 5 loaves of bread. Stored properly in a food-grade bucket, flour can last for years. Yeast, bought in vacuum-sealed bricks and kept in the freezer, will also last a very long time. Learning a simple recipe for no-knead bread is a skill that will pay for itself 1,000 times over, letting you produce fresh, hot, morale-boosting bread for your family. Number 5. Pasta. Pasta is the perfect panic buy food. It's cheap, incredibly calorie-dense, takes up hardly any space, and lasts for a very long time. A single 1-pound box can provide a hearty meal for a whole family. It's also a familiar comfort food that everyone knows how to cook. When people are rushing through the store, boxes of spaghetti and macaroni are an easy, obvious choice. The pasta aisle is often one of the first to be completely cleared out, right alongside the rice. For your emergency pantry, pasta is an absolute must. It's a versatile base for an endless number of meals. All you need is a simple sauce from your canned goods to create a filling and satisfying dish. The key is to stock up on it gradually. Every time you go shopping, just grab an extra box or two. It costs very little and builds your supply over time without a big one-time investment. Just keep it in a sealed tote to protect it from pests. It's one of the best calorie for dollar deals you can find. Number 4. Canned goods, soups, vegetables, meats. When people think emergency food, they think of cans. During a panic, the canned goods aisle becomes a war zone. People will grab anything and everything. Canned soups, vegetables like corn and green beans, and especially canned meats like tuna and chicken are all swept off the shelves. They're prized for their long shelf life, their durability, and the fact that most can be eaten without any cooking at all. A simple can of soup can be a hot, nutritious meal in minutes, which is priceless in a stressful situation. A well-stocked supply of canned goods is the foundation of any good food storage plan. Focus on variety. Get soups you actually enjoy and proteins like canned chicken, tuna, and salmon. These proteins are critical for when fresh meat is unavailable. The most important part is to shop your pantry. Regularly eat what you store and replace it as you go. This ensures nothing expires and that you're stocking food your family will actually eat. And don't forget to grab low-sodium versions when you can to help manage your water needs. Number 3. Shelf-stable proteins, peanut butter, canned fish, jerky. Protein is what keeps you feeling full and what your body needs to stay strong under stress. Panic buyers know this instinctively. That's why jars of peanut butter, pouches of tuna, and bags of beef jerky fly off the shelves. These items require no cooking, no refrigeration, and are packed with protein and calories. Peanut butter is a perfect food, especially for kids, and a can of tuna can turn a plain bowl of rice into a complete meal. This category is arguably one of the most important for long-term readiness. For your stockpile, prioritize these foods. Peanut butter is a top-tier survival food. It's loaded with protein, healthy fats, and calories. Canned fish like salmon and sardines are not only rich in protein, but also in healthy omega-3s. When building your supply, think diversity to prevent food fatigue and get a wider range of nutrients. These items are your lifeline when other protein sources are long gone. Number 2. Rice and dried grains. If one food defines long-term food storage, it's rice. Along with pasta, it's one of the first bulk items to completely disappear. A 20 or 50-pound bag of rice is an incredible value, providing a massive amount of calories for a very low cost. It's versatile, and when stored properly, it can last for decades. People know this, and in a crisis, those big bags of rice are like gold. They are grabbed without hesitation. The same goes for dried beans and lentils, which when combined with rice, form a complete protein. For anyone serious about being prepared, a significant supply of white rice is non-negotiable. White rice is better than brown for long-term storage because its lower fat content means it won't go rancid. The best way to store it is sealed in mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, placed inside food-grade buckets. This protects it from oxygen, light, and pests, giving it a shelf life of 30 years or more. A solid supply of rice is the caloric foundation upon which your entire food storage plan is built. Number 1. Bottled water. And here it is. The number 1 item that will vanish from store shelves faster than anything else, in almost every single emergency scenario, is bottled water. It will be gone in hours. You will see people loading up carts with as many cases as they can possibly fit. The fear of the tap turning off or the water supply becoming contaminated is a primal fear. You can survive for weeks without food, but only a few days without water. This fact is hardwired into our survival instincts, and it's why the water aisle is ground zero for any panic buying event. You absolutely cannot have enough water stored. The rule of thumb is a minimum of 1 gallon per person, per day. But that's a bare minimum for just drinking, and a little hygiene. A 2-week supply for your family is a good starting point. You can buy cases of bottled water, which are easy to store and rotate, or invest in larger, more durable water containers. Beyond just storing water, you must have a way to purify it. A high-quality water filter is just as important as the water itself, because it gives you the power to make questionable water safe to drink, indefinitely. Conclusion. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think is the most overlooked item on this list? Is there anything you would add? Let me know your number 1 must-have item in the comment section below. Your experience helps our entire community become stronger and better prepared. Stay safe and start stacking.